4040 here with another ship's roster review. Today I'm going to be looking at Draya's ships and cover me Porkins. Let's go take a look at her current fleet. Currently she's using Ghost, Houndstooth, and Phantom under Chimaera with Slave 1, Biggs X-Wing, TIE Advanced, and TIE Silencer as reinforcements. Now, I'm going to say the current main problem with this is Phantom should definitely be used as a reinforcement. It is the best reinforcement in the game, so as long as you have its reinforcement ability maxed out what you do, that's where it should always be used. And TIE Advance would probably make a much better starting ship. However, it looks like you've tried that in the past, but it might be good to go back to in the meantime. However, there's not much you can do to improve this, and you really got to develop out some new ships outside of reinforcements to improve this more. I'll suggest a current fleet you might want to use, but it's going to be a lot of the same ships you're currently using, except for maybe one or two different reinforcements. But let's look at some things you'll want to develop for the future more. And the first two things are going to be, you're going to want to develop out the Ghost and Phantom. This is going to mean getting Sabine 7-star and gearing all of these guys up to at least gear 11 so that you can max out the abilities on these ships. These are both two fantastic ships, probably some of the most plug and play ships in the game at the moment outside of Houndstooth, which is just a great tank. But these are both useful ships that are going to be good in the long term. Practically almost any fleet outside of Geos that you're going to want to use between now and whenever you develop a Rebels Falcon fleet, you're going to want to have them for. You're going to want to have them in the long run for that Rebels Falcon fleet, so it doesn't hurt to get these up. Plus, you're currently using them in your current lineup, so having these Rebels up isn't going to hurt there either. Now, the next thing I'm going to suggest you develop out is going to be the Geos. So this is probably the next fleet you want to work towards using. The Geos overall are excellent. You're missing the 7th star on Sun Fac Starfighter, but you can probably get that rather quickly. You're missing the 7th star on Geo Soldier and Spy, but again, those are probably pretty quick for you to get. And Geo Spy and Soldier are both relatively easy gear, and Sun Fac isn't too hard of a gear, but he's probably about medium tier in terms of a gear. So if you really focus down on these guys, you can probably get them gear 11 within a month and gear 12 within 2 months, if not less, and have this fleet developed out pretty darn quickly. And so that's really what I think you should be doing. The other thing is you already have a 7-star Chimaera. The next two things you should be working towards is working your way towards a Rebel fleet, which is first off going to require that you get all 4 of your bounty hunter ships 7-star. It looks like you're working on the Houndstooth. You have the Slave 1 up there, but this is also going to require work on the Xanadu Blood and IG 2000. You have both of those 3-star. Xanadu Blood in itself is an excellent ship, and if you really wanted, could be used in some fleets in between when you finally get a Rebel fleet and now, but wouldn't be usable in its current state. And IG 2000, you just really want to get up so that you can get the Falcon. I know they're both hard node farms, but the Falcon is worth it. And considering you have a Dark Threaven team already developed out outside of getting Malik, I believe it's probably worth it for you to go ahead and you can probably easily divert your resources to working on these guys. Um, so Geos, Xanadu Blood. Now, the one thing I noticed that you're missing that you really would want as a reinforcement is a good Dispeller. You have Ahsoka Tano's Jedi Starfighter. She's really best, and you have TIE Reaper, but these guys would require gearing. Uh, these guys are best in specific fleets. Um, Ahsoka Tano's Jedi Starfighter is going to be best. GR Fleet, TIE Reaper will be best in Empire Fleet. The Dispeller you're really going to want in the long run, and this one you'll probably want to develop Ahsoka Tano or TIE Reaper in the meantime. You almost have Ahsoka up anyhow. But in the long run, and you want this for your Rebel fleet, you want Cassian G-Wing. It dispels all buffs whenever it comes in as a reinforcement. If you have the reinforcement ability maxed out, which is excellent, and it can stealth itself, it can dispel buffs and debuffs using its abilities. It's overall a great ship and a really good option for you to. It's a really good option for you to work on. Um, so outside of that, um, in terms of capital ships, if you're going to get the Geos, you can use Chimaera with the Geos. It's not the best. I find Chimaera the best with the Geos if you're encountering the Millennium Falcon a good bit because you really need the healing that Chimaera brings. Executrix and Home 1 are also both usable with the Geos. Home 1 is best on offense with them. I think overall Executrix is probably the best overall capital ship with the Geos, and it's probably the second best capital ship in the game after Chimaera. Home 1 is only good because of the Millennium Falcon. So as you get closer to Millennium Falcon, you'll want to gear up Akbar. But till then, I think it's probably time to think about working on Tarkin and getting up the Executrix uh, so that you have a second great capital ship to use. Make sure you max out, I believe, is victory at all costs first. This is the essentially the leadership ability of the capital ship that will buff all of your ships, which is why you want that maxed out first. Max out the others in the order you choose, considering you have them almost maxed out. Shouldn't be as big of a deal. But I will work on Executrix next. But till then, if you get the Geos developed out, use them underneath Chimaera. It shouldn't hurt you too badly. In terms of reinforcements that you'd want to use with Geos, you'd probably actually want to start with Houndstooth in your starting lineup, especially if you get 6-star. You'd want to do Houndstooth with Geo Soldier, and there's Sun Fac Geo Spy. And then the third Geo being the first reinforcement. Geo Spy comes in, forces the enemy to taunt, and Sun Fac comes in and gives you a double stun. It's real useful. And Sun Fac gives you that second tank that you generally want as a reinforcement. Or that you generally want in your fleet lineup in general. Uh, as I said, Ahsoka Tano or TIE Reaper in the meantime will give you Dispeller if that's something you feel like you need. It's Phantom 2 is decent, and TIE Advance is a great reinforcement for doing damage. Um, in this lineup, this might be one where you could replace Phantom 2 with something else, but Phantom 2 probably makes a good second reinforcement to bring in this lineup after you bring in your first Geo. You can mess around with it, try to figure out what works with you. But those are some good reinforcements. In terms of currently what you can do to kind of mix up your fleet, I would suggest putting Phantom 2 as your first reinforcement and moving TIE Advance to your front like you used to have it. If you feel like that's not working, you probably have to develop out your characters on your Ghost more in order to get it to work better. If you have the if you don't have the TIE fighter pilot developed out, or I would say you could attempt to use that in place of the Ghost. That might be something if in the meantime while working on geos you could work on, so you have that other option there. Um, and then in terms of reinforcements, you can continue using Slave 1 if you would like, but you definitely want to use Phantom 1 as your first reinforcement. You want to have a second tank, so you'd want to use Biggs. I would suggest getting Biggs to gear 12. Even Biggs is going to be useful in the long term for Rebels. He's also just a great tank, and you want to have your tanks and ships, especially Biggs and Houndstooth, as high up as you can get them. And then after Biggs, you Slave 1 is a decent option. Dispeller is a decent option. I personally wouldn't use TIE Silencer, even though it's one of your higher level ships. It's one of the problems people generally have with this is they'll be like, this is a high level ship, I'll use it, but that doesn't always give you your best option. And having something like a Dispeller, like Ahsoka Tano at your availability is probably a lot more useful than having another damage dealer. And you should have those damage dealers in your reinforcements in the form of Phantom 2. You could replace TIE Silencer with Slave 1 if you don't want to use that as a reinforcement to give yourself some more damage. Slave 1's a decent reinforcement, but it's honestly not the best in a game. In the game, it's more gives you an extra taunter if you need it. Does an okay amount of damage, but there are things that can do better than it. So that's why I suggest you use currently. Um, I hope that helps, Draya. I know I said a lot there. Just know mainly work on uh, developing out your ghost crew, developing out your bigs, and developing out your geos. Probably some of the big things you can do right now to get yourself up in a better position. And then you want to go ahead and start farming those ships so that you can work your way up towards the Millennium Falcon eventually. Um, if you have any questions about this, just reach out to me in Discord, and I'll feel free to answer them, Drea. Um, I think you're at a position where you can easily work on this, work on ships without having to worry about your normal arena, I would assume. So, talk to you later. This is David4040 signing out.